What's up, everyone? This is Preheat with a new memory to see that showed me that our build. Please give us like a 30-second overview of this build.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. So this bill was actually shown to me by someone named David, and it's really effective at doing some really good, some really solid sustained damage, particularly in raid settings. It does some good bursts as well, but really shines in more sustained fights. This build consists of is very similar to the build you'll find on Snowcrows in that you have all of the equipment that you would find for the Sword Holo build. So that is full Berserker's gear with Scholar runes, and then a sword pistol with force impact sigils. Personally, I prefer to run shield instead of pistol, just for a little bit more CC and a little bit more utility. But if you're really trying to get as much damage out of it as possible, you might want to run sword pistol. But I'll really be talking about the sword shield one as I feel it provides more utility. So in terms of traits, you're again going to run the same thing as you would for sword holo. However, for your last trait, instead in Holosmith, instead of running enhanced capacity storage unit, you're going to run photonic blasting module as you would as if you were playing rifle. Additionally, you're going to use the following utilities. So the first one is photon wall, then rifle turrets, laser disc, and finally prime light beam.
What are the main things people need to be? Main things that people should be looking out for.
So the main thing with this build is the idea of using your Holo Forge, so activating your Photon Forge, and kind of almost envisioning two separate rotations, one inside of Photon Forge and one outside of Photon Forge. So inside of Photon Forge, what you're going to use primarily are your 3 and your 4 skill, and then simply auto attack until they come back off cooldown, and then you can use your 3 and your 4 skill again. Outside of Holo Forge, you're pretty much just going to auto attack. However, you're going to use Sword 2 every time it comes off cooldown. So inside of Forge, use your 3 and your 4 off cooldown. Outside of Forge, use your Sword 2 off cooldown, and then simply auto attack. It's important with Holo to let the game auto attack for you, so I would not recommend pressing your 1 skill. Simply let the game auto attack for you and fill with your Sword 2 outside of Forge and your 3-4 inside of Forge. Additionally, you're going to want to use your laser disc and your prime light beam off cooldown, as well as all 3 of your F2 through F4 tool belt skills off cooldown. The last thing you want to do is put down rifle turret at the start, and you are good to go. This build also offers great CC options through your shield 4, double tapping there, and your shield 5. Finally, if you decide to run AED, you also have your F1, your static shock, as a nice CC skill.
Tell me a bit about the healing skill.
So your healing skill, you can either run AED or you can run healing turrets. AED is my personal preferred one because it offers a little bit of more CC with your F1 skill, and is also essentially a free death. So as soon as you sense that a mechanic is not going the way you want it to, you can simply pop your AED, and when you would die, you are rejuvenated with massive health burst, and conditions on you are cleansed. The challenge with AED is if you don't manage to take what would be lethal damage while it's active, your heal is much lower. Healing turret, on the other hand, will offer a lot of good some good sustained healing for you and your squad, and also has a blast finisher.
So you never use photon wall, correct?
I personally don't. You can use Photon Wall if you'd like. It's a double tap to activate and really use. But personally, I prefer not to. It just keeps things a little bit simpler and a little bit more manageable when I'm not having to worry about activating Photon Wall.
So level this goes like this. You go two, three, four, laser disc, beam, do it, 3, 4, 2, 2, 2. Just rabbit up to F3, F2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, F3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, laser disc, 3, F2, F3, first, F2, 2, and you just continue this pattern over and over. And then you're F5, 4, 3, 4, laser disc, beam, 3, 4, and yeah. That's all it is. And so this is a peak for no preheat.
Right. Yeah. Oh, yeah, the preheat part of it's going to be awesome.
So preheat, which is kind of and let me show you. So do we ever about preheating?
So preheating is a great technique you can use to increase your starting burst, particularly for that first burn phase. And what that entails is you use your Photon Forge, you enter your Photon Forge, and you use skills within Photon Forge to get to a certain heat level. The idea behind this is that several of your skills, particularly your laser disc, prime light beam, and then the associated tool belt skills, have additional benefits and actually gain additional damage to an extent when activated above the heat tier, the heat threshold. In this case, that's around 50 heat. Additionally, you have a benefit from high heat through Laser's Edge. So what this means is that the more heat you have, the more damage you do. Flat damage increase bonus. So preheating is a great way to get ready for that first opening burst, particularly on a boss. You start at a higher heat level, you have your skills all off cooldown, and you can use them at a higher heat where they have bonus effects due to the heat tier, as well as bonus damage due to the amount of heat in your forge at the time.
So I actually did this with this beam, and without preheating, you want to get like 38k peak DPS for your opening. But with preheating, you will get like 46 to 50k.
Wow, big difference.
Yeah.
So do you preheat to 45?
I haven't preheat on this build. I preheat to an F2.
Okay.
Whatever that is.
Oh yeah, that's a good marker. Oh.
Alright, let me see what you can do now. Get to F2. There you
There's a 46k burst.
go. Okay, so as you can see, the burst the bus is around 46K, which is way more than the what was it originally, like 35?
I think it's around 35.
Yeah, so it doesn't 11K difference. So always try to preheat with this build. It's easier because as soon as you get to the right mark, you can get out boards and it will automatically stay there no matter what. So like you can just get do F2 before the fight and then get out and then you're ready to go while everyone is going to the bathroom and we're not. Because raids always take forever to get set up. Yeah. So what would you recommend want someone to get comfortable with this build?
So once you're familiar with this build, the first thing I would recommend is that you swap out that final trait in Holosmith. You swap out Photonic Blasting Module for Enhanced Capacity Storage Unit. The main difference you're going to notice is you no longer maintain heat when you're outside of Photon Forge. It's actually going to decrease over time, just naturally. Additionally, overheating is very costly. So as soon as you turn that trait on, you want to make sure that you never overheat. So the goal of Sword Holo, and there's fantastic videos out there. Snowcrows does a fantastic job laying out how this works and some of the thoughts, theory behind it. But the kind of thinking behind that is you want to keep your heat as much as possible between 100 and 150. That trait allows you to get an additional 50 heat, and also allows you to then lose heat. But the difficulty is it is incredibly costly to overheat to the point where it is always better to exit Forge than to overheat, particularly during a fight. So once you're familiar with the initial build, the one thing I'd recommend is, the first thing I would recommend is swapping that trait and getting comfortable with keeping your heat within those bounds without overheating.
And when should we use grenades instead of...
So grenades, yeah, absolutely. So once you are kind of really familiar and comfortable with Enhanced Capacity Storage Unit, that trait swap, grenades are a great thing to bring into play. So the way you're going to use those is you're going to swap out your photon wall for a grenade kit, and then you can start to practice using those outside of Forge. The only change this does is when you're outside of Forge, you're going to use your 2, followed immediately by either a grenade 2 and a grenade 5, or simply a grenade 2, depending on what's off cooldown at the time.
I know it, because there's like a ramp up in skill level.
Yeah, Holo is definitely my favorite class. It's really adaptable, has a high amount of potential, and is a really good pick for a lot of different raid encounters, in my opinion.
Yeah. Thank you for coming, Lucy. Do you have any final words?
Go Holo.
And please like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.